It was the summer of 1987. My dad had summoned me home. He enters the room, sits down, smiling, but with a strange face. I notice that his hair is a little longer than usual, and he's beginning to curl up onto his shirt collar. In his gentle, controlled, and well-considered way, he says, "Cath, I can't go on like this. I have decided to undergo gender reassignment treatment. I can't be a man any longer. I need to be a woman." I was so shocked. I laughed. Have you ever done that? Just laughed when you haven't known what else to do? But then I noticed the hurt on his face. What was I thinking? I didn't have a clue. Here in front of me was the father who fixed everything, went rock climbing, had a big beard, and would stand all night during a storm, holding the tent down on family camping holidays. Was all this real? The problem I had was I didn't know anybody else's dad who had changed gender. As a family, we had no one to turn to. We didn't even talk to each other, fearing what each of us were thinking. Feelings of confusion, lack of information, and no Mr. Google to turn to. I wanted to run away, but also stay and be supportive. Have you ever felt something like that? It's rather like boarding a roller coaster you're unsure of. Your eyes half open, you rattling around, going upside down, out of your control. My dad had been riding that roller coaster for decades. You see, he had sensed that he was different from the age of 5. As a teenager, his baby brother was born, and he wanted to spend his time next to his mother, learning how to care, nurse for him, push him in the pram. But in the 1940s, this wasn't an acceptable role for an adolescent boy. So he had to be content with observing from a distance, hoping his mother would ask him for help. My dad became the expert in deception, and for 45 years hid away his true feelings in the back of the closet of his mind and locked away the key. Thankfully, he began to connect with his truth, his desires and dreams, and at the age of 50, underwent gender reassignment and became Joan. That power of self-honesty allowed my dad to start living an authentic life. But now I was left managing my bereavement cycle of change and loss. Now, you may be asking, Cath, what is self-honesty? Well, self-honesty allows you to look deep within yourself, openly into your thoughts and feelings. Reflecting on the stories you tell yourself will open your heart to self-honesty, helping you to let go of what's holding you captive to your past. This self-honesty allowed my dad, Joan, to be the person she had dreamed of. But where did that leave the rest of us? Where does that leave the children of parents who decide to undergo gender reassignment? For me, I felt left behind. My dad had a 45-year head start, and I was finding it hard to catch up. Do you know that when you are struggling to accept something like big change in your life, it can leave you feeling confused and anxious? And you sweep that anxiety aside and you say to yourself, I'm being silly, I'm being selfish. But this can begin to make you feel guilty, creating even more thoughts of anxiety. So what do? You shove it all into the back of the closet of your mind, you buy a stronger safety catch for the door, and you throw yourself into being a superhero. And where does that get you? even more anxiety, stress, undiagnosed aches and pains, problems with sleeping, and you may even entertain thoughts of self-harm and suicide. It's a never-ending cycle until you can't go on any longer and you come to a grinding halt. The UK Government Equalities Office 2018 tentatively estimates there are between 200,000 and 500,000 transgender people in the UK. But it doesn't stop there. What's Collier Ashmore talk of the invisible group, the family, friends, allies of transgender people of whom very little is known. As the child of a transgender parent, I certainly felt invisible, with no obvious support to turn to. And this confusion left its toll. At the age of 40, I felt like an 80-year-old. I would wake in the night with back pain, and I'd have to roll myself out of bed in the mornings. Did I want to continue feeling double my age? No. Did I want to always feel in conflict every time I wanted and needed to talk about my parents? No. In which case, I needed to start doing something different. Otherwise, I was going to keep getting the same old tired thoughts and feelings I'd been having for the past 20 years. Thankfully, I began to start being really honest with myself, just like my dad had done. And I began to investigate what my real thoughts and feelings were, instead of pushing them away, inviting them in, investigating how they can make you feel, investigating how they affect the important people in your life, and investigating what you really want instead. Whether you are the child of a transgender parent or someone dealing with challenging family dynamics, I want to share with you 3 keys to unlocking your self-honesty closet. And the first key is understanding the importance of self-honesty and investigating why you are feeling the way you are. It's rather like being a private investigator, always looking for the reasons why, searching through the dark and dingy passageways of those thoughts and feelings you've been shoving in the back of that closet for perhaps many, many years, pretending they're not there. Then what? Where could you start? Well, I started with my own health. Remember, I was feeling double my age. And I began to question why I was thinking and feeling the way I was. And as I began to maintain my body properly, my health improved, and so my mood lightened. The second key to having greater self-honesty is understanding yourself and learning to let go. Understanding why you are having these thoughts and feelings, how they're affecting you, inside and outside. And when you truly begin to link with those thoughts and feelings and your self-honesty, you can begin to let go. You can begin to let go of all those stories you're telling yourself. Let go of all those blame and regret. Let go and forgive yourself and others. And once you truly begin to let go, you will find inner peace in that area. This leads me on to my final key to having authentic conversations. I vividly remember only a few years ago, Joan and my mum receiving their new marriage certificate. It was all there in the quiet tears rolling down Joan's cheeks. and the smile of satisfaction as I put my arms around her and I wiped away those tears. Joan had been waiting for this for 30 years. The final piece in her jigsaw for living her authentic life. And you know what? Self-honesty hurts. But with that hurt, you can learn. And I was finally beginning to learn the skill of self-honesty, which helped me get to the end of my bereavement cycle of change and loss for my dad, and to see Joan for who she really was. The kind, gentle, patient, conscientious person who always served others. And it was like a huge weight had been lifted from her, making it easier to talk, laugh and joke with her. And my mum, always by her side. At Joan's funeral, I was honestly able to stand up for her eulogy, put my hand on my heart and talk about both phases of her life, what my dad and Joan gave us as a family. And like you may have already experienced, life isn't always easy. There's always going to be obstacles that are going to crop up, get in your way, some bigger and stronger and meaner than others. But you have the power to choose how you're going to manage them. Don't be the victim of your past. Instead, clean out that closet, be self-honest and let go and have those authentic conversations. Transform your family dynamics into wonderful memories that you can cherish and place in your new treasure chest.